She has Atul Tripathi is going to speak on artificial intelligence users in the real world. He is an honorary fellow at the National Maritime Foundation, principal data scientist from 2019 at Tech Mahindra, big data and AI consultant 2016-19 of the National Security Council, Secretariat of the Prime Minister of India's office. He was also instrumental in handling the AI-based structures for the Modi campaign in Modi 2.0. The session has been chaired by Professor Dr. Manju Agarwal, who is Dean Academics and Executive Education and Senior Professor of Economics at the Indian Institute of Finance. He is also the chairperson of the IIF College of Commerce and Management Studies, and formally she has been principal and professor of University of Delhi Motilal Nehru College, Motihar. She also is serving as managing editor of Finance India and quarterly journal of finance of Indian Institute. We have had a series of seminars in the last 4-5 years on the AI in society. Also 5 both practical implementers and people who have been teaching these subjects coming and speaking, and yet another
AI, big data and digital marketing. In fact, data is a prerequisite, big data is prerequisite for digital marketing. A beautiful and latest example which can explain this, just yesterday, news, day before yesterday and before also 1-2 days after Operation Sindoor. You must have seen demand for BrahMos that has increased. What is it? Data. Okay. And shares of our Indian defense products that increased price. Similarly, the prices of 3 products, China's for defense products, share price declined. There was a decline in demand for Chinese defense products. What is that? Data, AI, and an impact on digital marketing. So purely it's a spillover effect and a feedback effect and how it moves and how it impacts the policies, the strategies, the decision making, the consumer bias. It has an impact everywhere, every field of life. And this is what we are going to see today with our expert speakers. Thank you. I request
inclusive.
Now, when it comes to the big data market, all of that growth here, and that's projected to grow to over 601 billion by 2032. That's not far ahead. This means that this reflects how deeply data has become embedded in what we do and how industries operate, how they strategize, and how they scale up. And for marketers like me, what does this mean? Well, this changes everything. We, at least for marketers, we're not working in a world of generic messaging
most importantly, how we as marketers or as emerging leaders, what should we be doing differently? How should we be thinking differently? So for purposes of this, not dive deeper into each one, I've broken it down essentially into three core shifts. And I would say three areas where we are seeing the biggest, most practical changes that are really impacting everything from strategy to execution. So the first is You don't, as a brand or as a customer, you don't want to lose your eyeballs. Now, this is not just sentiment analysis, it's not just what people are saying. It is what they are feeling. And I think for marketers, this is extremely important for not only marketers, for brand managers, and also for customer experience leaders. So, if I wanted to, again, tie all of this together, whether it's predicting churn, which means that if someone is about to drop off before, say, making a purchase in this rate, or whether it's mapping intent, tracking these micro moments, or even we all interact with Spotify, we all know what it is. And I would say Spotify is an incredibly interesting example of customer insight that's powered by AI. And this is something that many of us experience every day without even thinking about it. So what Spotify does is behind the scenes, it's using AI to analyze not just what songs you are playing, but when you are playing them, it's analyzing the type of music you're listening to, the genre, if you're skipping a song, if you're repeating a song, what kind of device you're on, are you listening to Spotify, say on your laptop, are you listening to it on your cell phone, and even, again, the mood of music. So, what is it doing with all this data? Based on your micro patterns, based on your behavior, it is generating highly personalized videos. Say, in your daily drive, your scheduled weekly, your weekly roundup, or even say a chill mix. And these are just curated. This is just a random playlist of songs. This is predictive. This is based on your listening pattern. And for us, we don't really pay attention to this. We don't really think about what's happening behind the scenes. Because this experience feels intuitive. It feels seamless. It feels emotional. It feels like, hey, Spotify really understands what I'm going to listen to. It really gets me. And behind the scenes, this is a powerful example of where there's an engine of customer insight that is hard at work. And this is powered by machine learning, powered by recommendation engines that is actively tuned to your behavior. And what's most impressive is that this personalization happens before you even realize it. It's happening before you even know what you want to hear next. So, in essence, Spotify is not just responding, it's anticipating your next move. And this is really what insight and action looks like. And I would say, when we look at the slide of how marketing is evolving, well, this is the new world. This is what's happening in marketing today. It's not enough to just understand your customer. You need to predict what they're going to do next. It's almost like a chess game. You need to predict their next move or make the next move a couple of moves ahead. And then also serve them with precision. And this is really different that AI-driven insights make. Now, the next area I would say is personalization at scale. And this one is very interesting because AI essentially is enabling personalization, but at a scale that we've never seen before. So, what I know I alluded to this in the past. which is micro-segmentation, AI is essentially allowing us to build very specific audience segments, and we're talking about hundreds or thousands of micro-segments that are based on past behavior, it's based on intent signals, or even predicted actions. So instead of, for example, looking at, say, men or women between the ages of 30 and 40, you can now target, or you can go one level beyond and target, say, people who have browsed for, say, tennis shoes a number of times and didn't buy, and then show a customized ad based on that. Recommendation engines, again, I mentioned this a couple of times, but this is, again, something worth emphasizing. This is something that you and I are experiencing every day, whether it's shopping, whether it's streaming, a show or a movie. AI is recommending content or products based on your behavior, based on what you're likely to engage with, and what others like you may have done, and what you have also done. So again, like I said, example of Netflix, it's not just recommending shows, it's really changing that thumbnail image based on your viewing history. So for example, if you like comedy, you may see smiley face. If you like action movies, or you've been watching action, well, you may see movies or TV shows based on that genre. Example I would say is, look at e-commerce. Retailers, what they're doing is that they're using real-time behavior to serve personalized product suggestions. And it's based on your timing offerings or reminders whether they're likely to buy today versus next week. So I would say that in essence, personalization isn't just about the content you're receiving, it's about context. AI is able to let marketers really create these moments that seem timely, that seem relevant, and even human, even when they're completely automated in the background. And if I wanted to tie this all together, I would say that this brings us to the key takeaway, and that is that AI is able to allow us to personalize not just messages, but moments, and moments that matter, and moments that convert. Now, I wanted to talk about finally the third area, and this is emerging right now, and that is automation and AI agents. And this is really changing how marketers are getting things done. So again, we've all probably interacted with a chatbot. These are customer-facing tools, or we've interacted with an AI assistant. And these agents can really answer, say, frequently asked questions. They're able to, say, email needs. They can schedule appointments for you. You may interact with a chatbot. You schedule a doctor's appointment, for example. You're not actually talking to an actual human. Or you can have a chatbot that actually recommends products. And again, this is all without human intervention. And what used to take moments or say minutes or hours to get a response, it's all happening instantly at scale. Now, this is a little more, I think, marketing specific. But when it comes to, say, ad optimization, there's something entailing automation that's happening behind the scenes, like AI-powered ad platforms. So if you are a classical marketer and you're interested in that AI can adjust bids, it can shift your budget, it can also rewrite your ad costs in real time based on what's performing. So for example, you maybe you're a small brand and you want to launch a Google ad. And you want to see what messaging resonates with your audience. So closing the deal. So the bottom line is, AI is not just like it's not a supplement, it's a complement. You can view it as it's increasingly becoming a team member, not just a tool. And this, I would say, brings us to the key takeaway for this, is that automation is really freeing marketers, freeing focus on hygiene, creativity, as well as innovation. I wanted to really just get really quickly when it comes to AI agents, because this is something that is really changing the way we're interacting with the world. So the it's very well possible it is happening. It may replace or may change the way, say, a junior marketer operates. It may even affect my role as a marketing director. But I will say, and this again pertains to every industry, marketers or any industry leader, anyone who knows how to use AI will replace those who do not. So it's really, really important to, say, brush up on your AI literacy skills. The second skill I would say is strategic thinking, and that's on the top right. So what's happening to, say, marketing? What's happening in my role? Well, I'm seeing a number of AI tools being launched every day. It feels like there's just a new tool being introduced, and I would say that it's very, very tempting to try every single tool out there. But I would say that great marketers or great leaders, they don't chase the tools, they're chasing outcomes. So if you are, say, an emerging leader, again, it doesn't matter what industry you're at, you want to be the one that really asks and probes, why are we using this particular AI tool? What does this, or how does this connect to the business use case that we are trying to solve? How does this connect to our business growth? Because I will say it right here, AI is very tempting, and like I said before, it's embedded in what you do, but it's not a magic wand. You cannot just wave this wand and expect AI to magically solve every single problem that maybe your company has. It doesn't work that way. You have to be very specific and know what exactly the problem you are trying to solve and how AI is going to solve it. And when you stay rooted in your goals and in your objectives, and it's not becoming gimmicky, well then that's when AI becomes an accelerator and not a distraction. And finally, I would say, and there's plenty of tools or skills that one should learn, but I would say the third one, which is at the bottom, I would say is the most important, and that is ethical leadership. Because no matter how powerful AI is, it is reflecting on the data that is trained on. So honestly, that means garbage in, garbage out. If you're putting crap data into, say, ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic, well, you're going to get crap outputs. So, and the data that these models are trained on, they're not always fair. They are going to be biased, and or they're going to be incomplete. So as leaders or as marketing leaders, we essentially need to ask these questions. It's our I think, right, our responsibility. We need to ask, are these models inclusive? Are we being transparent as for marketers? Are we being transparent with customers? I think the B2B industry, getting a customer means developing a very long-term relationship, and that's built on trust. Now, if I'm violating that customer's trust, maybe I am violating their privacy, maybe I'm using their data into, say, ChatGPT, well, there goes that business. It goes doing a similar role. Maybe they're, I don't know, say issuing offers, 5 different people are doing the same thing. You can see what are the those that are manual and that can be automated. See that the same exact data is being collected in 5 different places, but no one is really knowing what to do with it or acting on it right now. So, I know this sounds overwhelming, and that's not the goal. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself. It's really to take the time to uncover these opportunities. Because the reality is that you cannot scale if you don't know what's in front of you, if you don't know what's slowing you down. And I would say auditing, if you choose corporate language, it's really about identifying that low-hanging fruit. The places where AI or machine learning or even automation can really free up your time, it can help reduce friction, and even create better experiences for you. The second step I would say is training. And I want to emphasize this, I said it before. AI is not a magic wand. It's not a plug-and-play solution. It's not something that you just, implement and then you just forget it and then pray that everything is going to be better. Your people, at the end of the day, are still your biggest asset. And they need help, they need support, they need context, able to understand how to use these tools, how to evaluate tools, and also how to question AI effectively. So what does this mean? This means how do you prompt effectively? How do you analyze an AI output effectively? I've seen members in my own marketing team, I might ask something, they'll just put it in the ChatGPT and they'll think, well, this is accurate. But it's not necessarily accurate. You need to have that strategic thinking. You need to be able to challenge what is being brought in front of you. Again, you need to be able to identify hallucinations. Maybe if you put 5 plus 5 and in ChatGPT it's giving you 11, are you going to take it for what it is? No. You have to be able to question. Not every tool is made perfectly. And you also have to understand deeply about what AI should do, how it should help you, not just what it can do. And again, I'm going to emphasize this a lot because this is something that is very, very important for you guys, no matter the level of how you interact with AI. Ethics is so important. AI is moving much faster than humans are developing these ethical guardrails. And we are dealing as leaders, as individuals, we're dealing with bias, we're dealing with privacy concerns, we're dealing with consent. And these are not just side notes. As a leader, these are imperative for us to question, for us to recognize. Now, training from a marketing standpoint is not just about your content creators. It's not just about your analysts. It's literally about everyone who touches data, from storytelling to customer experiences, and that's essentially most of us. And finally, I would say this roadmap, you want to experiment. I know there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of classes out there. I'm not saying don't play with them, don't experiment. Experiment with them. And this is the part where you stop talking about AI and you're actually trying and experimenting with them. So same with marketing. You want to maybe just pick one area of marketing running an email campaign. Or you can use AI to see, hey, what are some interesting subject lines? Go for it. I encourage everyone to play around with the AI tool and see how it works for you. But if you're a company and you want to pilot, it doesn't say derail your everyday or day-to-day operations, but it also can teach you a lot. And maybe if there's as I experiment, look out that AI is generating, say, different variations of subject lines or different newsletter subjects. Maybe it's helping me with my internal campaign reporting. Maybe it's helping me I know this might be hard to see, but I'll just read it out. AI and big data is not just transforming marketing or any other industry. It's really redefining what it means to be with speed, with clarity, and empathy. And basically, I just want to say, with the roadmap, you don't need a 12-month roadmap to start. You don't need an AI department. You don't need an AI council. What you need is momentum. That's very important. For a company to grow, you don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to experience inertia. You want to be able to move fast and with momentum. No, they're the ones that are serious, they're the ones that are experimenting, and they're the teams and consistent people who are willing to learn faster as change. So again, I stress that we should do what everything do this. I know I've said a lot, so I just wanted to zoom out. I probably spent the last hour or so about these incredible, massive shifts that I'm experiencing. I'm listening, whether it's changing the way that we're working. I hope that everyone, I guess, leaves with this. I can give you a tech stack, I can give you my favorite tools, and I can give you. I just want all to really think how to provide about digesting huge amounts of volume or huge amounts of data. And that's what's happening. It isn't just about efficiency. It's not personalization or needing to, optimize my campaign. It is about building something smarter, something more responsive, more human-centered, and more future-ready than we've ever been able to build before. Because, again, this moment that we're in, it's not just about the tools that we're using, it's not about having better tools. It's asking better questions and being able to have better decisions. And for marketers, it's really requiring marketers to be able to bridge that gap between human and machine data and who's able to meet with empathy. So I just want to say that here's what I want everyone to remember. I know I said a lot, but here's the bottom line. You don't have to master every AI tool out there. You don't need to master every AI tool. And you don't have to be technical. You don't have to become a data scientist. What you do need, no matter what industry you decide to enter, you need to be a translator. You need to be a connector. You need to be able to think strategically and able to understand how to turn these volumes of data, information, into actionable insights, and then convert those insights into action. And no matter what you do, you're going to be able to think about it, being one who's able to bring up creativity, that context, the ethics, and that meaning. You can be the one who's able to decide to make decisions on what workflows need to be automated and where to personalize it. So yes, I know it's a very scary world with AI, but think about this. Think about, hey, I don't want AI to replace my job. Think about it, how you can reposition yourself, how you can survive. And these skills, to be AI literate, is something that is incredibly powerful in your toolbox if you're able to lean into it. So, I just wanted to leave you with one final question. Maybe you carry this back with you if you're working in a company, maybe you carry this back with your team, or you're reflecting upon this tomorrow morning. And with marketing, that's the question. What would your marketing or even your leadership look like if you stop treating AI like a tool and you start viewing it as a team, a collaborator, a creative partner, and a strategic amplifier? You'll be amazed how your mind shift will change. And with that, I just wanted to thank everyone for your time. Again, I would say marketing
could give us that interesting insight on AI and the way today, especially the fact that it's taking perspective that it should not be thinking of it taking away jobs, but how do we realign ourselves? You know, it was interesting, we after a long time, we used to do some Facebook interviews before, but we never did that lately. Lately, our conference we did it. And it was interesting because the way real-time data gets, calibrated by the way, time and again. So we ran this brief for about a day and a half. Okay, once the media outlets were there, and we reached about 12,86,022 people, out of which roughly about 3,13,000 were women, 20,431, and 9,71,391 were men across India. The data also gives you, region-wise perspective of how about roughly about 2,79,000 came from UP, about 1,55,000 West Bengal, from 1,04,000 something from Bihar, 77,000 Rajasthan, Gujarat, 50,000, and so on and so forth. So you are able to get all this kind of information. In fact, I see on good boards of European standards, which makes the ISI mark. Everyone knows the IIF is ISI mark, which comes on equipment. So the IIF is an agency which creates a lot of standards. You are working on paper as office standard. This was way back in 2009 and 10. And after that, as a process, definitely we decided to bring people from IBM and Microsoft. Because IBM and Microsoft and Intel are three major companies which have extensively gone into IT framework structure since the beginning. And we were shocked. We met them over a cup of tea or coffee in DI building itself, and then later at one of their offices. They told us that the amount of data they were collecting in 2009 and 10, that if I am suppose looking at something at that time, there was no AI as such. If I was crossing a shop, let us suppose I was looking for a specific product. My mobile at that time has the capability to indicate to me a debug that what you were looking for 10 days back or 15 days back or 1 year back is available at the shop. That means whatever you scroll through on the web, any given point of time, thinking that no one is seeing you, no one is watching you, no one knows what is happening, is actually getting stored in a server. And this is I am talking about 2009 and 10. Things have changed since then. Today they not only collect data, they analyze it. They use it for marketing. They use it for a lot of other activities. I was recently attending a team of research with a speaker at Anna University only about 3 weeks back on a data science meeting they organized. With me was CSIR and other persons from ISR, the Indian Statistical Institute and the Union of Sciences. And it was amazing to see the way data spaces are being utilized, how governments are looking at their data spaces. In fact, how Aadhaar, one of my interviews came in folks in the United States, when Aadhaar was just launched at that time. And I told them that it is going to be like the social security number in the United States. Although they are not saying so, that means it will capture and indicate all different activities. And today, the Aadhaar is being utilized, although there was a restriction at that time, but then it was opened up. And today, Aadhaar integrates everything, whether it's banking, whether you do shopping, whether you do other things, everything, it is coming at a single integrated factor. And you get almost all information in your tax return systems today. As an continuation of the way data is being calibrated, captured and done. You will be surprised when you go farmers, they are actually registering farmers for the last 4 years. Generating a specified code so that the subsidy which they give to farmers is not taken away by the rich farmers, but taken up by the farmers who are really small, down deep, and deserve that subsidy. So a direct benefit transfer which the government does can reach those people instead of only reaching a you select zamindar, a big farmer as they call, to take those benefits and never transfer it to the real farmer who it is meant for. Now, AI is the huge utilized. We have seen how Microsoft and a couple of other companies came into Facebook came into picture about 4 years back when they commissioned them, even called Mark Zuckerberg, on the use of AI-based data collection and influencing mind, social behavior of people, who to elect and who not to elect. You'll be surprised when I was there at the World Bank in Washington DC. 1999, there were elections in the United States. In a state called Texas, Austin, Texas, where George W. Bush's elder brother was standing up. Votes were sold at packets of cigarettes. Cigarettes का पैकेट होता है ना, आता है 8-10 पैकेट्स है, 10 packets are there. So there were votes, people were given that, they were asked to push a button. Those people went blindly and pushed a button, did not see whether it was going to the person who had given it the box or the person went somewhere else. Imagine where highly literate population. India has highly illiterate population in India even today, a huge population. India is still 60-65% of turn-up on voting. There the turn-up is around 45%. But imagine the influencing power that we have. AI is currently being utilized extensively to influence the way decision makers are made. Even today, as to what courses you choose, what you eat, what you wear, where you should go tomorrow, where you should not go, which clinical facilities you should use, which doctor should you actually visit, all that is getting influenced. That is the way majorly AI is getting an implementation of society. These are small applications, switching on your AC, switching on your light. These are very small mechanical applications of AI-based structures. But big AI-based structures are where our own behaviors, what we think about something, gets influenced. We saw it in the war which took place recently, a short war, which happened between India and Pakistan. We saw the way media, fake news of Pakistan. AI was helping generate for these normal people fake news which will look like real and not actually real, and to make you believe that it is real. We are seeing these influencers today who are actually capturing market. What are they capturing market on? It is all AI generated sequencing which is happening, which is actually helping them become who they are today. Otherwise, they are not doing something constructive in terms of real work which is actually getting generated like a company does, or like a company she works for who has been extensively in the last 5 years on AI and society and has published large number of papers. In fact, she is working on this paper on data science also recently. I would request if you can come and speak. Economies are today dependent on what is happening, what is not happening. Their robustness, their growth, your potential, your growth, where do you get a job? What kind of a job do you get? Is getting influenced not because AI is taking your place, but because the AI presents you information, and then the way you are able to take decision on what to do and what not to do, what you feel is right and what you feel is wrong. And that's where it's important that we understand how do we actually go about utilizing artificial intelligence, big data, and then utilizing it for our own marketing or structuring of sales structure. I'm happy to share this also. We did a study, one of the directors LSS, who was the Minister of Defense and Deputy Director in the Institute of Finance, way back in 2001, 2003. And she did a study where she said Ministry of Defense must sell and export defense equipment to raise revenue, to get foreign exchange. That time the government did not implement. She told me she did. Then we published a small piece in 2011-12 from that report which she produced at the institute under our professor's guidance and then submitted to the ministry. And this government in 2014-15 started selling defense equipment. Today we not only get a lot of foreign exchange from that, but today we talk about BrahMos and a lot of other equipment that are produced by Indian defense being sold. And a lot of countries buying those equipment. Now this is something this institute did long back. It is documented, reported, published, and finally this government, because ultimately it is the government which has to take a decision. We can only as an executive institution suggest develop what we can propose what to be done. Digital currency, digital rupee is another product which has been created by this institute previously. Talked about in the last 3 years. The digital rupee is launched by Reserve Bank of India. It's based on our work which we proposed as public between 2015 to 2017 and henceforth. So there are large number of all of these uses blockchain, AI, and a lot of other activities. And data is the main source. Data has always been the main source. That's why census is created. That is why population data is collected. People used to go home to home to collect data. How many children do you have? How many what age? What not age? And data is so critical. And the Indian statistical institution still holds a key role in terms of data numbering, and even in terms of workforce, labor, unemployment, employment. All that today gets generated. A lot of database services like CMI, data flow, Bloomberg, all of the market, whether it is for investment or whether it is for using our day-to-day life. With that, I would request before I request Dr. Manjura to give her comments and we will close the address because I just hope that the others not to be able to come and see you today. But we request if Dr. Manjura will present a copy of the journal and also call for open. Before I request Manjura to us, we have one of our academic collaborators, ABPSCS from Mumbai. We just signed an MOU with terms of promoting education and training. Mr. Bansal is here. He is a chartered accountant. He is an insolvency expert. He has been recently activating himself on AI-based learning also. I would request if you can say 2 words, and then because these are academic partners, it is important that he is present here, representing the Mumbai office, also he is in Delhi, representing the office. They have operations across the world, and their organization also. So why don't we request Mr. Bansal from India, maybe he can say 1 or 2 words about the I would request Ashok to come over for a minute or two and give his view. He has built a full company from scratch after working as a working executive. Not many people convert from being on the other side of the table to come and sit on this side of the table. It is about taking risks. And he has not only taken risks, he has built an empire, he has reaped the fruits, and he has given the world an organization which is reaping benefits and creating value for a large number of people and feeding large number of families across the globe. I would request Ashok to come and say a few words. Being an entrepreneur in the IT stream, since we have the topic of AI, what does it mean? little louder.
This is the first basic difference between this, yes. And second, it increases at exponential rate. It's physical order. Data is raw. When we acquire, when we get data with reference to the context, then it becomes information. And this contextual information, when we take in the context, then it becomes deep insight or information. And this deep insight, when stored over time, then it becomes knowledge. Big data is very large domain. There are 4 elements which are very, very important in data. That is volume, the size. Second is velocity, the speed or speed of thought. You must be doing the laptops, computers, how fast you can achieve. And many times you must be that the speed is very slow. So velocity is very important. Third is variety, the diversity and the source diversity in the source also. Not only where data is available, but the sources from which you are possessing the data.
case something has popped up to the mind. Otherwise, we call it a day and it goes with it. Any questions? Thank you very much.